Welcome to App Stories, a weekly exploration of the world of apps. Today's show is brought to you by Pillow, Woven, and Linode. I'm John Voorhees, and with me is Federico Viticci. Hey, Federico, how you doing?
Hello, John. Well, I'm doing great. How are you?
I am doing really well, too, because you know what? We have an exciting episode today because we have got, in my hands at least, not your hands, unfortunately, the MacStories Selects Awards, which we have picked and we're going to talk about today.
It's a big day. We've been planning this for a few months now. We started thinking about these awards months ago and started having discussions with the team about the apps and all of the, looking back at all the reviews, all the stories that we published in 2020 and, taking another look at all the features that we wrote about, sort of doing some personal reflection on the apps that we enjoyed the most. And it's been a fascinating discussion among the three of us, but also Club MacStories members participated in this by voting on the Reader's Choice Award for the second year in a row, voted by Club MacStories members. So it's been a fun process, and obviously this episode goes alongside the story that we have on the website today, and you can take a look at all the list of apps and all of our thoughts and links on MacStories, in addition to the beautiful physical awards that we started doing last year before Apple did theirs. And we are continuing with our physical awards this time around as well. And we have some really pretty photos taken by John of those awards that you can check out on MacStories.
Well, thanks. It was a lot of fun this year, just a little bit of behind the scenes in that we started a note, I think it was just days after the last awards. And throughout the year, one of us would drop in there and drop in an app or two. And we had a pretty long list by the time we got to the fall. And once the review season was over, we turned our attention to that. And this year was, it was hard to make the decisions in a sense because there were so many good apps in 2020. Maybe part of it is that a lot of indie developers are stuck at home and working hard on their apps. But there was a lot of innovation, a lot of interesting apps that came out. And so it was a lot of fun to pick this. I thought we were going to have some really big fights, but I think we actually came to agreement on the winners pretty quickly, as what has been the case many of the years.
Yeah, I guess part of the process was just sifting through the list of nominees, if you will,
right.
And trying to make sense of yes, maybe this app belongs to this category, maybe this app belongs to this other one. And then it was like a conversation among the three of us. Each one of us had, different preferences perhaps, but as always, we came to an agreement. And I think we have a really solid list that is, it sets the tone for 2020, and it tells the story of the features and the designs and just in general, the kinds of apps that we liked this year. And it also tells the story of how, iOS 14 and app updates have played an important role in choosing these apps, right? Because of some of the features that we picked and some of the app updates that we highlighted. They were, of course, they received pretty important updates thanks to iOS and iPadOS 14. So it's been a fun process. But before we get into that, John, before we start talking about the MacStories Selects 2020 winners and runners-up, you do have some follow-up to share.
I do. We talked about Craft last week, and that app has gotten very regular updates ever since it debuted just a couple of months ago. And the latest update addressed some of the things we talked about during the show last week, which is there's now an inbox for any notes that you take that aren't categorized into a folder. So it's a very convenient way it's like a smart folder of its own, really, so that you can see what's not categorized and organize it. Plus, there are now subfolders for folders. And I know this is one of your favorite features. You can actually select a bunch of blocks in a particular note and very quickly turn it into its own note or a subnote of an existing note, right?
Yes, that's an amazing feature because you can start. One of the great things about Craft that we covered last week on App Stories is you can start writing, and as you write, you can decide, well, I'd rather this be its own sub-page within a
Exactly.
document. But then later, if you change your mind, you realize, well, this has grown well beyond the scope of a subpage. Maybe this should be its own document, or maybe this should be moved somewhere else. I used to do that manually by, cutting and pasting and creating a new note. But now the entire flow is essentially taken care of by the app with just a single click. You can right click on the subpage, and you can decide, do you want to move it elsewhere, make it a new document, or do you want to let it become a subsection of something else? And I think it's really well done, and it shows how the Craft team is listening to user feedback and iterating on the product quickly.
All right, Federico, we have an awful lot of apps to cover. So without further ado, why don't we dive into our MacStories 2020 Selects Award winners? And the first app that I want to cover is the best new app of 2020. And the winner this year is Craft.
Well,
probably comes as no surprise given our discussion last week, I suppose.
It really isn't surprising, but Craft is the winner, and I think if you want to listen to why we like Craft, we have an entire episode about it.
We do.
But I think so. This is one of the sections that I wrote for the article on MacStories, and I think Craft is a great example of how a development studio can come in and provide an alternative to a free and built-in application, which is Apple Notes, but also to a VC-backed Silicon Valley company, which is Notion. And so providing that mix of powerful features inspired by the likes of Notion and perhaps Rome Research, but in a native package, in a native experience that fully supports modern iOS technologies like the pointer, like split view multitasking, drag and drop, and widgets. And to do that with such a great combination of intuitive design and polish and power, right? Because of all the things that we discussed last week, all the different tools that you have at your disposal for creating notes and linking notes together, making pages and sub-pages, and having rich links and having multiple formatting tools at your disposal. That is so well done that even though Craft launched just about a month ago, really, in the final part of the year, some apps, they come around, and even if it's a 1.0, I honestly believe that Craft is the 1.0 version of a note-taking app. It's the most impressive one I've ever seen.
Yeah, it really is. And you think about the note-taking category, and this is a mature category that's been around since the very inception of the App Store. So it's not easy to come in and shake that up. And Craft has absolutely done that with an app that is not only fantastic on iOS and iPadOS, but it's terrific on the Mac as well. And that you just don't see very often. So, well done, Craft. This is a well-deserved award. Federico, I should mention our runners-up as well.
Yes.
The first one is Widgetsmith by David Smith. Widgetsmith really is an amazing story. Lightning struck Widgetsmith not long after it launched because of TikTok and people wanting to customize their home screens. And Widgetsmith was there and ready. I mean, it really builds on a lot of David's experience with WatchSmith and some of the other things he's done. It allows you obviously to create all sorts of widgets for your home screen and do it in a way that's really unique and your own. So that it's an app that really has, I think, defined part of the iOS and iPadOS story of 2020, because customization is really what it's all been about this year. And so it's I think well-deserved winner as a runner-up.
Yeah, totally. It's such a great story of an indie developer taking a category by storm on the App Store, and being the top free app for multiple days in a row. It's just a fantastic story of it may look like an overnight success if you're not familiar with David's work, but it's really the culmination of well over a decade of being an indie developer on the App Store and releasing multiple apps, paying attention to the market, and being thoughtful and dedicated to your craft. So yeah, absolutely one of the best new apps that we wanted to highlight in 2020 as well.
And speaking of Craft, Federico, our other runner-up in the best new app category is Halide Mark II, because this is an amazing camera app. It's really the best designed pro camera app out there, bar none. It does an amazing job of having those complex tools available for pros, but keeping them out of the way and making it an app that's accessible, I think, to average users. And they do that with not just the design, but the fact that there's like a 10-day course built into the app now. And this is another app that just came out. I mean, Halide's been around for a while, but Mark II came out at the same time as iOS 14 and has really, really done a good job of defining the camera category as well. So, this is an app that I like a lot, but yeah, this is another great runner-up.
All right, John, next category.
Yes.
Best app update. So this category wants to celebrate the best update, which is, I would argue, is equally important as being a new app on the App Store. Just it shows how developers can iterate on their existing apps. And the winner for best app update in 2020 is Soar, the Apple Music client by Tanmay Sonawane. This is just an excellent Apple Music player. And the reason we wanted to highlight the iOS 14 update to Soar is the widgets that the developer was able to add to Soar, which I should say is an iPhone-only app. I believe the developer is working on an iPad version, but for now, Soar is iPhone-only. And the iOS 14 update and the iOS 14 widgets, really, they show how it is still possible for indie developers to find the areas of iOS where Apple isn't offering a specific feature, and how they can take advantage of native APIs and modern technologies and make their own and provide a powerful and at the same time integrated alternative to Apple's own app. In this case, we're referring to the Now Playing widgets,
right,
and the music collection widgets that Soar offers on iOS 14. So one of the points of criticism that I raised in my iOS 14 review for the built-in Apple Music widgets was the fact that there's only one. There's only a recently played widget for music in iOS and iPadOS 14. There's no Now Playing widget. There's no way for you to create your own music widget featuring a collection of your favorite albums or your favorite artists. All you can do is see your recently played stuff. And instead, in Soar, you can create a widget that contains all kinds of shortcuts to your favorite albums, to a specific playlist, or even to a Genius Mix, which is effectively Soar's own version of smart playlists. Which is another functionality that Apple Music still does not have on iOS and iPadOS, but it's possible in Soar to make your own smart playlists based on a combination of multiple filtering criteria.
right.
And so you can make with either the favorites or the music collection widgets, you can create a grid of items that quickly start playing the associated, content in Soar. But the other widget that I think is even more impressive is the Now Playing widget. And this is a Now Playing widget that shows you the album artwork for the currently playing song, as well as playback controls, as well as your app next queue. And this is possible because Soar can use the system audio player, which means whatever you play in Apple's own music app, you can also see and manage in Soar because it uses the same underlying system music player. The thing is that this Now Playing widget, thanks to the developers, a clever workaround, I will say, it supports interactions. Those playback controls that you see in the Now Playing widget in the medium and large sizes, they support interactions. You can tap those buttons,
Right.
and you can pause music or you can skip songs directly from the home screen without ever opening Soar. And this is, as I mentioned, a clever workaround that Sour's developer came up with. But what really matters is the kind of experience that this update enables. You can, thanks to Soar in iOS 14, you can start playing something in music, and then you can see the Now Playing controls on your home screen thanks to Sour's widgets. Or you can put together you can put together a smart mix, and you can start playing those from the home screen, because those widgets behave the same way. When you tap on a favorite item, it doesn't take you into Soar. It starts playing music in the background without leaving the home screen. So it's really just an excellent way to to show off how you can take advantage of new APIs offered by Apple in a new iOS version and build features that Apple itself isn't doing. So congrats to Tanmay for winning Best App Update of 2020 with SOAR for iOS 14.
Yeah, definitely. I really love the widgets in SOAR. The attention to detail is just amazing in this app, and it's the kind of thing that really it's a combination of an attention to detail and a savviness of understanding what Apple isn't really providing through its own app that combined make this a really great pick for this year. Why don't you tell us about the runners-up, Federico?
And the runners-up for best app updates of 2020 are Timery, the excellent time tracking utility based on the Toggle web service, and GameTrack. Timery received an amazing iOS 14 update adding support for widgets, highly configurable widgets, I should say. You can see your currently running timer on the home screen. You can configure reports so you can see charts and graphs for your timers and your projects, and you can see where exactly your time went during a specific time period. And you can also, of course, configure all of these, and you can mix and match these things. You can pick multiple tags. You can choose between projects. You can filter. And because of how the widget framework works in iOS 14, you can add multiple of these widgets to the home screen, each configured in a different way. So another example of how can you take advantage of new APIs made available from Apple this year and build upon your existing product, but offer, tons of new powerful functionalities that just weren't possible before. And GameTrack, I feel like, John, you should talk about GameTrack because you use this one a lot.
I do. Before I get there, though, I do want to mention about Timery. What's really neat about these widgets in particular is that developer Joe Farbar had to really rebuild them from the ground up, because I think everyone assumed, right, with the changes to widgets, that the fact that they're not interactive, that Timery's widgets, which were already loved by users, were just going to be completely ineffective going forward. But instead, these widgets are some of the best ones in iOS 14. GameTrack is our other runner-up, and GameTrack is a fantastic app for just keeping track of the video games that you're playing, both ones that you're currently playing, ones you want to play in the future, and that sort of thing. But there's also a discovery element to it that which I like a lot, because, I don't spend as much time playing games as I'd like. I'm just unfortunately too busy. But GameTrack kind of keeps me aware of what I'm planning to play next and what I'm working on now. And the app, when it first came out, showed a lot of potential, and I liked it a lot. But with this update, it really took it to the next level, and not only brought it, using the new layout and sidebar on the iPad, but that allowed it to really shine on the Mac as well. So congratulations to GameTrack for such a great update that really made this app a lot more useful across all of the platforms. This episode of App Stories is brought to you by Pillow. Getting a good night's sleep is underrated, but with a little help, it can be life-changing. Pillow is an all-in-one sleep tracking solution that helps you become more aware of your sleep patterns and discover what might be affecting your sleep quality. It's easy to fall into bad habits. I know that I do it all the time, but Pillow can help get you back on track so you get a good night's sleep. If you have an Apple Watch, tracking your sleep is as easy as wearing your Apple Watch to bed. One of Pillow's most loved features is its ability to create a detailed heart rate diagram for every single sleep session. You can even compare your sleep quality to your weight, steps, caffeine consumption, and many more health metrics to discover what might be affecting your sleep. Pillow can optionally record sounds you make during sleep too. From sleep talking to sleep apnea, snoring, and unexpected noises during the night, a lot of users have been surprised at the results. Pillow is also very privacy-minded. All of your sleep and audio data is encrypted and stored on your device and in your iCloud storage account using end-to-end encryption. Pillow doesn't have user accounts, so you can use it anonymously, and it doesn't collect or send your personal data anywhere else. Naps are a way to boost your focus, creativity, and overall well-being, so check out Pillow's Power Nap mode for those times when you need a little extra rest on the weekend, or if you're working from home. If you need an alarm, Pillow can wake you up using your iPhone, Apple Watch, or iPad too. If you have watchOS 6 or newer installed on your Apple Watch, the latest update of Pillow uses the new extended runtime to minimize battery consumption on the Apple Watch. Pillow has a new home screen widget too that allows you to track your latest sleep analysis and daily sleep goals too. Pillow has a new home screen widget that lets you track your sleep analysis and track daily sleep goals too. Pillow is available on the App Store for the iPhone, Apple Watch, and iPad. Discover all of Pillow's features at pillow.app. Again, that URL is pillow.app. I'll put a link in the show notes too. Pillow, sleeping better made simple. Our thanks to Pillow for the support of the show. All right, Federico, I want to tell you about the best new feature, and the winner this year is Pixelmator Photo for ML Super Resolution. Now, this is an amazing feature, and I think when we pick the features, one of the things we're looking at is what apps have taken advantage of new technologies or done something really clever with existing technologies. And Pixelmator Photo's ML Super Resolution really falls into the category of taking advantage of a relatively new technology, because a lot of people hear about machine learning and they wonder, well, what is that really good for? Well, this is a terrific example of that, because what you can do is take a very low resolution image. And one example that I always use, that I have used it for, is I've taken some old video footage of Apple events, like Steve Jobs giving a presentation that's maybe in, I don't know, 480p or something.
Yeah.
And really tiny, right? And if I put that on the website, it'd be this little postage stamp image. But with ML Super Resolution, I can blow that up to a reasonable modern size without destroying the definition of the image, which is amazing. Now, this feature is also on the Mac, and I'll say, if once you try this on an M1 Mac, you'll be amazed, because it's incredibly fast. It's very fast on the iPad too, but it really shines on the new M1 Max. But we picked it for Pixelmator Photo because it's a great example of the kind of powerful features you can find on the iPad today.
Yeah, really fantastic addition to Pixelmator Photo. We do have some two runners up in this category as well. I also wrote about them on MacStories. The first one, as best new feature runner up, the widgets of GoodTask. So GoodTask is the powerful third-party reminders client for iPhone, iPad, and macOS. And the widgets in iOS 14 are some of the most configurable widgets I've ever seen for a task manager. You can basically, it's not so much that they are widgets, it's like you have your own sort of a interface design tool for making a totally custom task manager widgets with GoodTask. You can choose to show any combination of lists or smart lists, which is a feature that is exclusive to GoodTask, which Reminders still does not offer. And you can choose, you can choose to show the calendar next to a task list in the medium and large widgets. You can choose to the kind of display option that you want to use. You can even make your own custom theme for widgets that is different from the theme that you use in the app. So this is ideal if you want to use a specific theme in GoodTask, but perhaps you want to use a specific wallpaper on your home screen, and you want to make sure that the widgets play well with the wallpaper that you have. So really fantastic example of the multiple configuration options supported by WidgetKit, and a great, I think it's just a great feature because it goes extremely well alongside the kind of app that GoodTask is. It's the kind of app for users, for power users who really want to, get down to the details and tweak settings and tinker around a lot with their task manager. So really well done. And the other best new feature runner-up is the wiki links and backlinks of Craft. Again, not a surprise. We talked about this last week on App Stories. This is a fantastic implementation of the idea of wiki links, which has existed in note-taking app for a long time. It means that you're able to link to other notes in Craft by just typing a simple syntax. But with the addition of backlinks, It means that Craft can compete with products like Roam Research and Notion by showing you in the note that is linked by other notes which notes exactly are linking to it. And this is ideal if you subscribe to certain productivity and note-taking methods, such as the popular Zettelkasten method, which is having a bit of a resurgence in 2020. So really well done, really well done implementation of wiki links and backlinks in Craft. And these are the two runners-up for this category of best new feature.
This episode of App Stories is brought to you by Woven. It feels like every year I've got more and more appointments to deal with. My calendar has become an important aspect of my everyday life, whether that's personal or professional. As a result, having a good calendar solution helps you work more efficiently and better. So if you're juggling a bunch of appointments, Zoom calls, and things like that, check out Woven. Woven syncs all of your calendars in one place, including your Google, G Suite, and Microsoft 365 accounts, so you can see all of your time, both personal and professional, in one place. Woven builds scheduling directly into your calendar so you can use one-off scheduling links. You can quickly time block your week using Woven's smart templates so you can plan the perfect week too. And Woven has built-in analytics so you can see exactly where you're spending your time so you can spend that time on what matters to you most. You really need to check this out. Take control of your calendar and improve your workflow. And as a listener of this show, you can try Woven for 21 days absolutely free. So go on over to woven.com or click the link in the show notes. Again, that URL is woven.com to learn more and take control of your calendar. Our thanks to Woven for their support of the show.
All right, John, it's time for the best watch app of 2020.
All right.
The best watch app of 2020 really should have, this is a long time coming. The winner is Carrot Weather. Now,
it's a great one.
Carrot Weather is just a fantastic app on everywhere, but it's just amazing on the Apple Watch. In fact, I think we all agreed at MacStories that it's the best third-party watch app we have on our devices. It's difficult to sum up Carrot Weather in just a few sentences, and especially in the context of what's coming in the future of Carrot Weather that we still cannot, that we cannot talk about today. But it's incredible what developer Brian Mueller was able to accomplish on such a tiny screen. All the different configuration options that you have in terms of complications, which now take advantage of the new complication system in watchOS 7, where you can have multiple Carrot Weather complication on your watch face, but also in terms of how you can personalize the main Carrot Weather experience inside the watch app. And of course, it's an independent watch app, so you can install it on your Apple Watch without having it on your iPhone. And I believe you can even subscribe to Carrot Weather from your Apple Watch, which is another new technology that Apple launched, I think, in 2020 for independent watch apps. You can now do everything. You can sign up for the multiple tiers of subscriptions directly from your watch. And so I think it's a combination of that, of taking advantage of multiple new technologies and being consistent in doing so, right? Year after year, developer Brian Mueller has consistently updated Carrot Weather for the latest version of watchOS. And there's that aspect, but there's also the customization and the personalization, which, it's one of the themes of 2020, both on iOS and watchOS. And also having such a clear vision for the app, which is it's a weather app with personality and with tons of configuration options. And all of those features you can take advantage of in the watch app, which doesn't feel like a lightweight companion utility. We see plenty of those, more simplistic watch apps. This is a legit weather app on your Apple Watch, and it updates frequently depending on your subscription type. And the design is excellent, the performance is fantastic, and the developer is always on top of new APIs and new technologies. So for all those reasons, we think that Carrot Weather wins the Best Watch App MacStories Selects Award in 2020.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there's still far too few watch apps that perform well. And, Carrot Weather is an exception, though, because it updates, frequently, and it works flawlessly, and not to mention the fact that on that little screen it packs a lot of information, and it's all customizable. All great things. Our runner-up this year for the watch category, Federico, is WatchSmith by David Smith, and WatchSmith in a lot of ways was the prequel to WidgetSmith,
the grandfather of WidgetSmith.
Right, in that a lot of the same technologies are involved in creating watch complications that are involved in widgets, which gave David a leg up when he was working on WidgetSmith. But WatchSmith is a very rich, deep watch app that allows you to create custom complications of all varieties and sizes. The list of things you can create with this is incredibly long. You can see WidgetSmith taking shape in a way in this app because of the customization options. And again, customization, one of the biggest themes of 2020, which made WatchSmith a great runner-up this year.
Absolutely.
All right, Federico, I want to talk to you about Mac apps. And our best Mac app of the year is Nova by Panic. And this is a developer tool that not everybody might be familiar with, but this is probably the most gorgeous Mac app I've seen in a long time. I mean, This is an absolutely beautiful app. And it's, at its heart, it's a text editor for editing code. And it's got incredible colors and themes for the text editor. It comes in with a dark mode and a light mode. It's got syntax highlighting for all sorts of different languages. It's also got customizable workflows and other tools built in, as well as an extension feature that allows third parties to build extensions for it. And there are quite a few of those already out there, which makes Nova the kind of app that I expect will be around for a long time and also become the heart of a lot of developers' work. I know our Alex Guillot uses it when he's doing some of his development work on MacStories.
Yeah, it's absolutely gorgeous, and the attention to detail in Nova is just ridiculous. And if you used to like and use Coda before, Nova is that taken to the extreme in terms of polish and modern features.
And depth.
Feeling like native Mac app, having an extensible framework that allows developers and creators to create plugins and extensions and custom themes for Nova. It just looks fantastic. And I think Alex has convinced me to finally check this out. And I want to consider it as a way for me to edit to create projects for our different repos on GitHub, because you can do that. You can clone a repo in Nova. You can, start editing text. And I'm not a developer, but I can still appreciate, a well-designed Mac app that does something that is so extraordinarily well-designed. The Mac is having a great comeback here in 2020 between the new M1 Macs and developers having more tools than ever to bring their iPad apps to the Mac. But Nova really stands out as a really, really, really well done native Mac app that is has got the Mac to its core, and there would have been no other option but to pick Nova in 2020.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really an app that shows off what the Mac is capable of. The runner-up this year is one of my favorites, AirBuddy 2 by Guilherme Rambo. Yes. It's a great utility. It's a menu bar app that lets you easily connect and see the status of the charge and everything for your AirPods or other Bluetooth headphones like the Beats and that sort of thing, the Beats line of headphones. But it can do more than that, too. It can keep track of the battery status of things like your trackpad or your keyboard. And you can, even if you have it installed on multiple Macs and you work across more than one Mac at a time, you can very easily with the app switch those peripherals from one Mac to the other. So the connection is just handed off from one Mac to the other, which is, one of those things that's normally very fiddly because you got to go into system preferences and you might have to disconnect from one Mac and then reconnect with the other Mac. It's just a great way of doing that. But the thing about it that I love is that the animations are gorgeous and it looks just like the animations you'd see on iOS, but Apple hasn't bothered to do it for things like the AirPods on the Mac, but Jeremy has. So it looks terrific and is a handy app that I use really just about every day. This episode of App Stories is also brought to you by Linode. Whether you're working on a personal project or managing enterprise infrastructure, you deserve a simple, affordable, and accessible cloud computing solutions that allows you to take your project to the next level, which is exactly what Linode does. We've been using it at MacStories for some projects that we're working on. We've been incredibly happy with the service, support, and pricing. It's fantastic. You can simplify your cloud infrastructure with Linode's Linux virtual machines, helping you develop, deploy, and scale your modern applications faster and easier. Frankly, anything that can make your workflow faster and easier is worth checking out. Linode has 11 global data centers and provides 24/7 human support 365 days of the year, so you never have to be stuck without support, night or day, holiday or not. Linode are there with no tiers or handoffs regardless of your plan size, and you can check it all out for free. Get started right now with $100 in free credit for listeners of App Stories by going to linode.com/appstories. In addition to shared and dedicated compute instances, you can use your $100 credit on S3 compatible object storage, managed Kubernetes, and more. So head on over to linode.com/appstories and click on the Create Free Account button to get started. Go there now and check it out. Our thanks to Linode for their support of App Stories.
All right, John, it is time for our next category, Best Design.
All right.
This is a difficult category to choose because
it really is.
How do you quantify great design, right? And how do you evaluate in 2020, apps that are designed for a variety of platforms, especially when there's stuff like Swift UI, which is still in its infancy, right? And how can you tell really, is this app powered by a great design or not? And I think we all agreed that to choose best design, there has to be something about the overall experience that goes beyond just saying, yeah, these icons are really well drawn, or I like the logo. There has to be that extra quality, that special something that takes the experience to a whole new level. And for us, the winner of Best Design in 2020 is Reader 5. Reader 5, the latest version of the popular RSS client by Silvio Rizzi. The latest version in a series of updates for an app that goes all the way back to 2009. When I started MacStories. And Reader 5, available on iPhone, iPad, and the Mac, is just an incredible RSS reader. And maybe alongside with Nova, one of the most polished visual experiences I've ever seen on Apple platforms. But it's not just the visuals, it's how the design works in practice. There's a quality to Reader 5 and the way that the transitions and the animations work in the app, and the thoughtful attention to the smallest details of the typography and the headlines and the headings in articles, and how the folders expand in the sidebar, and how the panels scroll across the screen when you're using the iPad version or the Mac version. The combination of those details that is, as I mentioned, it's hard to quantify. It's hard to pinpoint an exact feature that, yes, this is the reason why we're choosing Reader as the winner. It's the combination, and I think it's the kind of app where you need to take a sort of like a holistic view at the overall product to understand the way that this works and the way that this looks, the polish, the typography, the animations, the details like the speed of the animation curve and the transitions and the multiple icons and the menus. All those things together, they contribute to my favorite app for reading stuff. Even though I use other reading apps, I use Kindle and I use Apple Books. Right. And, the thing is, it's a pleasure to use Reader 5. And then there's also, the functionality of it. Of course, you can now you can sync your RSS feeds with iCloud in addition to third-party web services. And you can use Reader as a read later app because of its read later account. But in this context of this category, that is secondary to the excellent design, which is the product of judicious iteration over the years, attention to modern trends, taking advantage of modern iOS APIs for layouts and for text rendering. And for all those reasons, Reader 5 is the winner of Best Design in 2020.
Right. And we've written a lot about RSS readers in the past, and there are a lot of good ones, especially on iOS. But what Reader does and what really makes it unique and sets it apart is the design. It's really it's such a good design that you almost don't notice it, because especially the way it works is so smooth that using it is effortless. And you and I scan through a lot of headlines in the course of a week, and if we didn't have Reader, it would be a lot more painful. It's a terrific app.
And the runner-up, John, in this category is, of course, Nova by Panic, for all the reasons you mentioned before. Just an excellent visual experience and a combination of, I think what I appreciate the most about Nova is how Panic managed to release a product that has personality, right? You can you open Nova and you can instantly tell, oh, this is a Panic app. Whether it's the icons or the copy used in messages and in alerts, those tiny details that make you think, yeah, Panic designed this. But at the same time, it also feels like a native Mac app for macOS, for an Apple platform. And it's that combination that is so hard to achieve, right? To follow guidelines, but at the same time, put your personality, put your company's aesthetic, if you will, into a digital product that is so hard to achieve, right? And Panic did an excellent job with Nova. And for that reason, we wanted to highlight this one as a runner-up in the best design category as well.
Yeah, it's a great choice. It really is a fantastic design. All right, Federico, I want to cover the Reader's Choice Award. And as a reminder, this was picked by Club MacStories readers. We had hundreds and hundreds of submissions this year. And, I got to tell you, our readers and our club members have fantastic taste, because we had a long list of excellent choices this year, and we tallied them all up. And the winner this year is Reader 5, which, no surprise, it also has the best design. And I'm really not surprised, because the thing about Reader is it's the kind of app that a wide variety of people can use for a lot of different reasons, daily, right? Whether you're just catching up on your favorite websites, or you're doing like we are and looking for links for things to write about on a website, whatever it happens to be. I mean, reading is a very fundamental thing that a lot of people do, and doing it in a way that is enjoyable and easy is of paramount importance. And so that is the choice that our readers came up with, and I was really pleased to see that Reader 5 won.
Yeah, it really is an excellent choice.
It is. And we had two runners-up that I want to mention as well. One is Scriptable by Simon Stovering. Scriptable, of course, is the amazing scripting app that uses JavaScript, and you can build all sorts of amazing things with Scriptable, especially now with a widget. The things I've seen people accomplish with Scriptable are really, really amazing.
Incredible, yeah.
Right? It's another aspect of the customization and the power that widgets can bring to the home screen that an app like Scriptable can, in the right hands with someone who has an idea, can turn a widget into something very personal and very customized. And the second runner-up to mention is, of course, Things by Cultured Code, the task manager, which is probably the best designed task manager, I think, out there. I mean, you may quibble with some of the features once in a while. I don't know, but it is a really fantastic app. I've always loved it. The design is bar none, and is right up there with some of the things we've said about things like Nova and Reader as well. It's a terrific app.
Yeah.
All right, Federico, I want you to tell us about the app of the year, because the app of the year, this is it.
This is it. This is the most prestigious award, the big one of MacStories Selects. And before I tell you who the winner is, I just wanted to say how when picking the app of the year, it's not just about design and features and, how quickly a developer can iterate and adopt new iOS and iPadOS or macOS technologies. It's also about just, is this the kind of experience is this the kind of app that we loved using in 2020? What kind of experience did it enable? How did it fit in our workflows?
Right.
Is this the kind of app that, in a way, characterized the past 12 months that we keep going back to, that we keep talking about? And the winner for App of the Year, MacStories Selects 2020, is Music Harbor, the third-party music utility by developer Marcos Antonio Tanaka. Music Harbor is a fantastic way to stay on top of new music releases and upcoming music releases by your favorite artists. Music Harbor works by scanning your Apple Music or, in a recent update, Spotify library, and it allows you to follow artists found in your library. And then you can choose whether you want to see the latest releases, which in the music industry, they usually come out on Fridays now. Used to be Tuesday, now it's Friday. Or you can see all of the upcoming releases for all those artists. And you can preview those songs, or you can open those items in Apple Music, you can open them in Spotify, or you can open them in any music service because of the integration for redirecting that Music Harbor offers in settings. And what Music Harbor is an app that we use daily at MacStories because, first of all, we love music. We listen to a lot of music, and we like to stay on top of new music. But what it does is it provides features that just don't exist in Apple Music. And I find it still so surprising that Apple hasn't built a page where you can see a chronological feed of all music releases for all artists in your library. Yes, Apple Music highlights some of them, but really I just want to see them all. And the same is true for upcoming music releases, where you can go in the upcoming section of Music Harbor and you can see all the music that is about to come out in the future. And you can add them to your calendar. You can open them in Apple Music and pre-add them to your library. You can do all of that. And with Music Harbor, what also stands out is just the amount of options and integrations and new features that the developer was able to add from the first time that I covered Music Harbor last year. And you may remember Music Harbor was the runner-up for App of the Year in 2019. And over the past 12 months, the developer has so judiciously iterated on Music Harbor, while at the same time not changing the core nature of the app, right? It is still the intuitive utility that lets you see new releases and upcoming releases, but there's also so much more that you can do. You can browse music videos. In an update that actually came out, I believe on Friday last week, you can filter those music videos by type. So you can even do things like, let me see lyric video, or let me see like official videos in Apple Music. It's wild. You have shortcuts actions. You have multiple icons to choose from. And Music Harbor has been updated for iOS 14 with new widgets and a sidebar design on iPad. And that iPad app was used as the foundation of the brand new Music Harbor app for Mac, which you reviewed on MacStories. And so we felt like, technologically speaking, Music Harbor would on its own deserve an award. Just if you only consider those features and design changes and new APIs and new functionalities, it would be worthy of an award. But as I wrote on MacStories, we felt like there was a special quality to Music Harbor in 2020 because it's been a challenging year for everyone, literally everyone, all around the world.
Right.
And Music Harbor is the kind of utility that when you open it and you see, that your favorite artists are still making music, are still creating art, are still putting out new music. I don't know, but it gives me personally, a little bit of hope every time I open it and I see that, there's new music actually coming out despite, everything going on. There's still music. And so it's not just the technological merits, but it's also what it represents in 2020. Right. And so for all these reasons, we talked about it. We discussed it, with you and Alex, and we felt like this is the app that we keep mentioning. This is the app that it makes us feel good every time we open it. And so for all these reasons, Music Harbor by Marcos Antonio Tanaka is the app of the year for MacStories Selects 2020. Congrats to Marcos Antonio for winning this award. It's well deserved.
Definitely, congratulations. Yeah, I can't say enough good things about this app. I mean, it just delivers little bits of delight every time you open it, right? Because there's a little treat waiting for you of some music that you haven't heard before that you want to listen to. And I think of it a little bit like RSS for music because it delivers a chronological feed of all the new music. And I use it to populate a playlist every time I find something that I want to listen to. I have a special Music Harbor playlist, and it's so easy to do that right inside the app. And then, I open up that playlist in Apple Music and listen to it. It's a fantastic app, and I was so pleased to see it come to the Mac. I mean, it's I spend my time working across a bunch of different devices, and I was always picking up my phone and checking out Music Harbor while I was working at my Mac. But now I've got it right there on the Mac, and it has the same widgets on the Mac that it has on iOS. So I've used it even more in the last couple of months than I ever have in the past. So congratulations to Music Harbor.
And the runner-up for App of the Year is Thought by the Icon Factory. So I absolutely love Thought. I use it every day. This is an extremely simple note-taking app based on a unique and so well-executed concept, which is you open Thought and it's a scratchpad for plain text, and you have 7 pages. You only have 7 screens in the app. You have those 7 dots at the top of the app, and you can swipe between them. And on each page, you can jot down something new. And it's just a scratchpad for your plain text, and I use it every time, and I use it every day because it's so simple, and the concept is so unique and well executed. Whenever I need to quickly save a link that I need to, or maybe I need to copy multiple links from Safari, I just paste them in Thought and I store them both. And then after 2 minutes, I copy them again, I send them to you, and then I remove everything from Thought again. Or maybe it's a phone number, or maybe it's my grocery list, or maybe it's like a block of code that I want to copy and paste, but I want to make sure that I can also paste additional things in it. It's just an excellent scratchpad for your plain text that has been consistently updated over the past year without changing the essence of the app. I really love it because it's so simple, but you can tell that simplicity is not the product of just being lazy and wanting to offer the basics. It's thoughtful simplicity in a way that actually it requires a lot of restraint to design this kind of experience. And so I use Thought everywhere on my iPhone, on the iPad, and when I'm on the Mac, I also use it on the Mac. And so it felt appropriate that this should be the runner-up for App of the Year because it's so well done. And I just we love the Icon Factory, but they never done a note-taking app before, and this just felt like a really novel concept, and at least for me personally, a really useful app.
Yeah, it's super well done, and I think it's a terrific example of what can be done in a very constrained environment. It's constrained on purpose, right? It's limited to those 7 dots, and within that context of those constraints, the app does a fantastic job of making sure that it's absolutely simple and easy to use, and the foundations are incredibly solid too. The syncing is lightning fast between all the platforms, and if you needed a place to park text, which boy, I need it all the time, Thought is a terrific place to do that.
All right, and that's it. Those are the MacStories Selects. Those are the winners and the runners up. And once again, congratulations to all the developers who have put out some really excellent and amazing software in 2020. I know that it's been hard for everybody. It's been hard for you. It's been a challenging year between the beginning of the pandemic and not knowing what was going on with WWDC and the weird schedule of iOS 14 and having a GM release the day before.
Yeah.
It's been challenging for everybody, but I just want to iterate how much we, at MacStories, we appreciate you and we respect you because you make the apps that we use every day. And we care about developers and we care about indie developers and we write about them because I personally feel like it's such a powerful message, right? The idea of an indie studio or a single person, even in the case of Marcus Antonio, for example, being able to compete with much bigger companies and much bigger web services. It's a beautiful thing to be an indie developer and to make products that reflect your craft, your personality, your aesthetic, whatever it is. I hope that you will like our choices. And once again, congratulations.
Yes, congratulations. It was a terrific year for apps. And I think despite all of the hardships and difficulties and stresses of the year, developers really rose to the occasion this year. And these are all fantastic apps, both the winners and the runners-up. So congratulations. And you know what? The winners out there, I will be in touch very soon to send you your awards, because they will be in the mail in the not too distant future. All right, Federico, that's a fun episode. I love doing this episode every year. We will be back next week again. We are going to have another installment of our Workflows Revisited, and we're going to be talking about task management next week. So stay tuned for that. Of course, I want to thank our 3 sponsors again for this episode, and those are Pillow, Woven, and Linode. You can find me and Federico over at MacStories.net. Federico is on Twitter and Instagram too. He's at Fetici. That's VITICCI. And I'm at John Voorhees, JOHN VOORHEES. Talk to you next week, Federico.
Ciao, John.